second question later then for me.
Oh, the second half of your question about empathy?
Yes.
Well, you said your question again.
Well, the second half of it, you answered the first half. The second half was, I know someone that has had some miraculous things happen. They've been a great heal in a situation where there's been a lot of healing that's taken place. But what's happened through years of experiencing this is this person has taken on something, or she perceives herself to have taken on something that has physically broken down her system. Mm-hmm. Now, is that because she hasn't stayed in her authentic self, or did she put her feelings so much into the awareness of the other person, or was something being mirrored back? I mean, I'm reaching for all of this, trying to figure it out.
I would say that every case is unique in that way, but I think that we are growing, all of us, into how to define who we are without boundaries. Most of us define who we are by where our boundary ends and somebody else's begins. That's really true. But there's a better way of defining who you are. And that is understanding your presence, your identity as love. You as a source of love. You as a child of God. You as a presence in this universe capable of generating magnificent beneficial energy into the universe and not requiring those boundaries to be kept up. I can tell you a personal experience in that when I began this work, I felt almost trampled to death. I would be, at the end of the day, being out with people, I would feel like a herd of 20 horses had just trampled me. Because people wanted to experience what I experienced. They wanted to have my eyes to see Him. They wanted to have my heart to feel Him. They wanted to be literally inside my experience. And the call for me to be empathic to them was so strong that I couldn't resist it. But the problem is I did resist it. Because I was still defining myself by my boundaries. I was still wanting my boundary. Well, this is my boundary. This is who I am. Somebody would come inside my boundary and I would push back. Not physically. Not physically, because I made people feel comfortable and warm to be in my presence. But etherically, I would push back because I didn't know what to do with all of that stuff that was pouring in on me. And finally, one day, it was just more than I could push back. And I asked myself, I said, why am I pushing? And I actually asked Yeshua, I said, what do you do with it? How do you deal with it? I mean, I'm complaining. But when I think of the billions of people that send their prayers to you every day and ask for your help every day, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with all the people that are in your space? And he says, my space? Where did you get the idea of my space? And all of a sudden I got it, that I had created this proprietary boundary called my space. And so I was trapping their energy inside this proprietary boundary called my space. And at that moment, I let go of my space, and everything that had gotten trapped inside just flowed on. It was just, I learned to be in the flow. That was actually the beginning of when I realized that the way to really evolve into this higher understanding is to be in the flow every moment of your life. We are in a universe that is in motion, it's in connection, and it flows. And we don't have all the answers right now. We may always be growing into more questions, more answers, more desire to know and more realizations. But if we're flowing with those desires and those searches and explorations, if we're in the flow, we'll find what we need around every turn of the bend. And being in the flow is the answer, instead of being in a limited my space. And so it's dangerous to be empathic and proprietary at the same time. I guess that's what I was getting to. And I was in that danger zone for Madison as a kind and caring person, and I was interested and had lots of friends, but it was still, I had a kind of proprietary identity of who I was. And this was a major discovery, realizing that I could be in open space without any boundary. I could move literally through the dimensions and not lose any sense of who I am. And I'm not sure, when I look back on those days, you see, I thought Yeshua came to see me. I'm not totally sure that he didn't open the door up and take me to see him. Who was where? It doesn't matter. And it really doesn't, from a larger perspective, that we are in an open, multidimensional universe where we literally can change our physical density, our spiritual and perceptual awareness, and our sensory intake and integration based upon where we know ourselves to be. We have to be willing to move. Now, this is a skill that was mastered. It's not unique at all to Christianity, or it's been mastered for eons, but only by special individuals who actually could be shapeshifters. They could walk through walls. They could mystically disappear and appear another place. But not everybody could do that. It seemed to be a skill that accompanied just those who had a special insight. And sometimes, of course, we even associated that with mischief. It wasn't always benevolent when people did that. Sometimes people who had that ability took advantage of it. And we didn't always trust people who had those abilities. So I think we pushed it off to the outer extreme as being, occult or strange or not really where we want to go, or it doesn't have anything to do with me. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe we don't want to live a life that's that different or that strange. But what if we as a human species recognize our true relationship with the Creator, our true citizenship in the universe, and collectively, harmonically, compassionately, benevolently, we're able to live in a more open space. One of the things I'm enjoying doing a lot in the last couple of years is my online conference call seminars, because I have people around the world on these calls. And we make connections with people all over the world at the same time. And people begin to learn how well they can get to know each other without being in the room, without seeing a face. They begin to feel the energy around someone's voice. Someone begins to pick up when another person is about to talk, and two people will get the same thought at the same time. And so I really enjoyed that phenomena as a way of exploring this dimension of consciousness that we can all